And action. Okay, hello. So this is the maiden voyage, the debut episode of Blown Speakers. I'm Dave.
I'm Greg.
And well, to give you a bit of background on us, we're Americans. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. Greg.
I'm from Buffalo, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Currently reside in Buffalo.
But we first met in the Tokyo area in early 2000. And Greg lived in Japan for 5 years. I still live in Japan. But during that time, from 2000 to 2005, we kind of tore it up together, right, in Tokyo. And
yeah.
And now we decided to start this. Oh, so I'm still in Japan. I'm in Yokohama. And
I'm in Buffalo, New York, not part of Japan. But have remained friends, remained music enthusiasts.
Mm-hmm.
And while we were in Japan, I was surprised how many. I just got to say, I don't know how people are familiar with things in Japan if they've spent any time there, but I was surprised, how many American or non-Japanese artists came who are interested. Like, we did see Daniel Johnston in Japan. We saw Yo La Tango.
Guided by Voices.
Guided by Voices. I remember my first year, Modest Mouse. I was like,
I missed that.
If you're in Buffalo, there's a good chance they wouldn't come into town, but they came to Tokyo where we were living, so that was great. And,
expensive concerts usually.
Yes, yeah. Concerts are more expensive. Yeah. But yeah.
All right. So yes, Greg, what's our concept for this vlog?
Well, yeah, Dave, you proposed the idea. Someone influenced by some podcasts you like, but our idea is talking about right now. We're each going to starting with you. One of the hosts will present an album that they really like, which the other host may or may not be familiar with. And then a week prior to the show, we listen to the album, and then we present on the album and why it's something we really like, the highlights, the significance, the impact on us. That's the structure of the show.
And what kinds of music? What kinds of music, Greg? Would listeners want to know?
Well, as Pablo Picasso once said, if you know exactly what you're doing, what is the point of doing it? But that said, it'll be fair bit of rock, indie rock, classic rock, punk rock, hard rock, some folk rock, metal, maybe some fusion, but pop rock. We listen to a lot of music, and certainly some jazz, blues, whatever. Yeah, but it'll definitely be
ambient.
We're rockers, ambient. So
yeah. So we're hoping like for a diverse array.
I mean, we grew up on the rock and roll. There was one band I love. I was reading about somebody. I think was that band Felt, maybe is a English indie. I think they're often described as indie rock band, but it was Felt or some other band, and the author I was reading was saying, or he was talking about some band. He's like, This band is neither rock, the roll, nor the N.
What is it? What does that mean?
It's not rock, it's not even close to rock. It's not rock, it's not roll, nor the N. Rock
Oh, wow.
and roll has nothing in common with rock and roll. So I kind of like that, and
Yep.
while we were in Japan, we had a friend that was into noise, so we'd see noise shows. But we talked about ambient, and there's jazz that we like. So sometimes, I need a break from the loud guitars, but there are times I need the loud guitars, or you need the beat. But anyways, it's gonna be stylistically open. So, but it'll be a focus on rock, I'm sure, at least at the beginning.
Yeah, so we're planning on switching off, choosing an album each week, or however often we do this. So I'm gonna go first, and I kind of the angle I took when choosing an album was kind of based on a feature I used to like in Mojo magazine that was called "Last Night, an Album Changed My Life."
And Dave, that's one thing we bonded over the Mojo magazine.
Yeah.
Because I think the first time I saw it, and that's something I never found in Buffalo. Well, at the time, never found in Buffalo or in the U.S. But I remember you had one in Japan. You could get it in Tokyo. So you turned me on to that, and I was like, and I think they just, especially at the time, 2000 to 2005, when I was reading it in Japan, and when 2000 is when you hit me to it. Just amazed at the diversity, the range of focus in the magazine. And so here's one from August 2001. Sly Stone's on the cover. And look, feature on Booker T and the MGs. Classic. But the feature you're talking about is Last Night a Record Changed My Life. And I think it's in here. Yes. Nope, there's something. We're going to find it. One moment. Dave, do we have page turning music?
Well, okay. Well, I guess I'll talk while you're doing that. Yeah. So that's how I chose to. That's how I decided my album for today. Good. So that was called "Last Night a Record Changed My Life." Right. I remember reading the one Lou Reed talking about Little Richard. Yeah. So what?
I remember that too.
What
and this one here. I mean.
What is it?
You've got Gil Scott-Heron paying tribute to John Coltrane's "A Love Supreme."
Beautiful. Yeah.
Can't mess with that.
So that was kind of my thinking that went into the album I chose today.
Okay.
Right.
One moment, Dave. I'm gonna
close the door. All right. Right? Rather than choosing something that I'm going to insist is the best album or something like, no, I'm just choosing something that had a big impact on me in a certain moment in my life. And a lot like what I remember about that Mojo feature, a lot of people talked about music they discovered like in their teenage years, often early teens, right? But in my case, I'm going to talk about an album that I discovered when I was about 23. Okay, or 22 or 23. Okay, and let me share. I'll share the album cover. Okay. This is Daniel Johnston's "Fun" that was released in September of 1994. Okay, so 94 was a big year for me because I graduated from university in the spring right? And after I graduated, kind of my immediate goal at that point was to go backpacking in Europe. And I spent the summer just working, saving up money. And in the fall, I went to Europe so this album came out in September of 94. I don't think I heard it before I went to Europe, right? But when I came back, it would have been spring of 95. I'm 22 years old, gonna turn 23 that summer. And and then I heard this album. My friend Jason, one of my high school friends, lent me this album. And I feel like it just hit me at the right time, because I feel like a constant theme of this album is Daniel Johnston is trying to figure out kind of how to move forward with his life to get the things he wants, which he explains are kind of what everybody wants, like a house and a family and a future. And I think like a lot of like the theme of this album is his inability to construct a proper way to get any of those things, right? So he's talking about a girl that he loves, but he doesn't know how to make that work, right? And I mean, this song, I think these songs kind of cover a lot of ground, but I think that's one theme that is pretty constant throughout this album, that knowing what you want, but not being able to, or not knowing how to achieve it, not even knowing how to take the first step towards achieving it, right? And like I said, I was in my early 20s, got out of school, did the Europe thing, came back, and then I'm kind of have to figure out what I'm going to do going forward, right, with my life. So I really felt a connection to this album when I heard it, because I felt that it was in a lot of ways related to the same frame of mind that I was in. And maybe that was why it was such an immediate, rather intense attraction to this album. I couldn't stop listening to it. And that's and I went on to become a great fan of a lot of his other work, but this was the entry point for me. So this was a big album for me, and it really
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Now, how about the title itself? Fun.
Fun.
Where on one level where you're thinking like, I need to have fun.
Yeah, I don't know. And if you notice, if you look closely, you see this, he left like an errant line in here too on the U, right? Like it just doesn't look so smooth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. DIY for sure.
I think I kind of related the, one, track that really sticks out is Happy Time, which we're going to talk about. And, I feel like fun is related to the concept of happy time, right? So, it'd be interesting to know why he chose to call it that. But I'm a big fan, and I'm looking forward to talking about it together.
Likewise. Well, and I don't have that history with the album, but I know you lent me the CD when we were in Japan, and listened to it and enjoyed it. And then
show us your library plug.
Re-familiarized myself with the CD, with the album. And I got this from the downtown library here in Buffalo, New York. The Central Branch, they call it. A lot of hip people work at the library, and who are responsible for acquiring the musical items, the music. So thank you, Buffalo and Erie County Public Library System. They always have great books and media and resources at the library.
Yeah, and you said that was the only Daniel album they had there, so it seems like it was kind of meant to be that I
Yeah.
chose this album, and you were able to pick
Oh,
it
and
up.
here's the back.
Yeah, I have the back cover available too. Let me see. Very quickly. Oh, that's right.
Do you need me to focus?
Let me see if I can share this with you. Boop.
Oh, and
Yeah,
it
there
should
you
be
go.
noted, Daniel Johnston did all this artwork.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about his artwork a bit. Yeah. So here's the back cover.
Oh yeah, that looks better.
And you and I saw him perform in Tokyo in 2003. But we're really going to focus on this album today, or try to focus on fun. There's
Right.
always a lot to be said about Daniel Johnston, but yeah, I feel like this is an album that deserves to be talked about again. So yeah, episode 1. Let's start here, right? The maiden voyage, right?
Dive in with us. It will be fun.
Okay, let's see. Action. Okay.
We carved our pumpkin. It's a two-sided
Pumpkin, yeah.
two-faced pumpkin, ready for the election season. Two-faced.
Yeah. Wait, but Greg, we didn't get the full effect of that. Can you? Okay, yeah. So
who carved it? Whose idea was this? Whose side is
I
this?
had the idea.
That's no one's idea.
That's Graham's side. That's
Wow.
Graham's side.
All right, now we're going to turn it around without dropping it.
There's my side.
That's a breakthrough in pumpkin carving, right? Two faces. I mean,
I think so. I never heard of it until
people are
my
going to
son
steal this
Nolan
idea.
here
It's good that we
recommended it.
documented it. Yeah.
There it is. There's a jack-o'-lantern for 2020.
Yeah.
And it's going to be well documented. $5, I think, at the Lexington Co-op.
Oh, nice.
All right. Happy Halloween.
Cheers.
All right. All right, the gentlemen, these guys are going to vacate. We're going to move the jack-o'-lantern. I'll be back and
Good night, boys. Happy Halloween.
Oh, the old logo from late 70s, early 80s to promote Buffalo.
Nice. We're talking proud. That's awesome.
There's a theme song. Buffalo's got the spirit, talking proud.
Oh, hey, Greg, since we were, okay, so we're back on, okay. Pumpkin carving broke out in Buffalo. Yeah, so we're trying to get back on point. Greg, I wanted to show, since I mentioned myself backpacking in Europe in 95 or 94 to 95, check out this picture. Can you see this?
Not yet. I've got a message of, holy cow.
That's that would be very, very early 95, right?
Wow, look at the hair, man. You look a little like Simon. If Simon Hill will tune into this vlog, look like a taller.
Yeah, kind of.
But your face, you look like Simon. Yeah. Wow. Handsome, young, and intrepid.
Yeah.
Backpacker. So that's in England.
Yeah. You can see
and smoky, no less.
Yeah. You can see the grunge influence there.
Oh yeah. Oh, total grunge. Yeah. The plaid.
So this would have been, I think, a few months before I first heard fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I'm correct about the fact that.
All right, then you got to have the post-fun picture. Totally different style.
Yeah.
Mind was blown. Outlook was different.
Wait, let me continue with my list. Yeah, so one reason I chose this album was because, right, he passed away last year. So,
Right.
yeah, as a way to honor him. I wrote another reason. I thought it's just a matter of time, right? I mean, he's an American songwriting giant. We were going to talk about him at some point. So might as well be episode 1, right?
All right.
And yeah, and then I think this album is underrated, right? So that's another reason. Because kind of the general thinking is that Daniel Johnston's like best stuff are the cassettes, from the early 80s onward. Yeah, which I love those cassettes, but I mean, This Fun was the first album I heard of his, right? And I loved it so much that when I, realized I didn't use the internet a lot in 95, but when I started using it regularly in 96 or so, I would guess.
Mhm.
And I found out that there was a Daniel Johnston website and I could contact someone and actually order all the cassettes. I ordered all 12 of them. I ordered every cassette that was available. So like that's how much I loved this album, that I wanted everything I could get my hands on by the guy, and
Had to be a completist
yeah.
already.
Well,
Wow.
it was just as frantic. Like I was so into Fun that I felt, I had to get my hands on anything that was available.
Right.
So I ordered all 12 of them. And I remember when they came in the mail, what a great day that was for me. And it really, devoted, the next year to just listening to those cassettes.
How many of the cassettes do you have left?
Oh yeah, I lost a few over the years. I think it's probably down to 3 or 4 I have left. Oh, but I bought, okay, that's at least a good segue to show this. I bought the box set. This has 6 of the old cassettes are, in CD form.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Those will perfect sound forever.
Yeah. So
that's how they used to. That was the slogan when CDs came out.
Yeah. So
look at the box is great. Yeah, his artwork is.
Yeah.
Is incredible.
Yeah, I went to an art show I took my family a couple of years ago of Daniel's art in Tokyo, in Ginza. Geez, I'm trying to stay on point, Greg. I keep getting off point. I have a, I could show you the, wait.
Oh.
I found the website of that art show, but give me a second. Exit full screen. Let me kill this picture. Okay, there you go.
All right, let's see.
I went to this art show a couple of years ago in October of 2017. There was an exhibit of Daniel's visual art in Ginza.
Daniel Johnston.
Yeah.
I can still read a little of the homage. Hi, how are you? So that's what the T-shirt said on Kurt Cobain's T-shirt, right? And there's the big mural. My brother
in Austin.
My brother Frank lives in Austin, so there's a big mural of that T-shirt on the side of it. It was a record shop. I think it's changed hands. It's some other business, and there was.
I thought I read they painted over the mural, huh? Or
I know. I thought they were going to, but they didn't.
Yeah, I hope not.
But that's something we'll have to update for. For our next episode.
That was
okay.
The name of one of his early albums was Hi, how are you? But anyways, it was the name of this exhibit. I went with my family. Yeah, my boys liked it. Yeah, we had a good time. But that was cool. All right, trying to stay on point, Greg. Wait, my list of reasons. Okay, why? Okay, so my point in talking about the old cassettes is I just think it's a great gateway album, right? So with an artist like this, I think there's a lot of like passionate fans, and then there's people who feel like outsiders, right? Like where do I start, right?
Right.
You know, and the thinking about Fun is that, okay, this was his major label debut, right? It sold horribly, and it's kind of viewed as like the whole project was a flop. But I think that's overly harsh.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's a great album, and I think it's a great gateway into his earlier stuff, you know? So
Yeah. Good entry point.
yes, exactly. And yeah, just one more, yeah, on my list here. I thought there was a good quote by Dean Ween here. I'll close the door. I used to be a big Ween fan, not so much recently, but I like this quote by Dean Ween. He says, most songwriters would have given anything to have written one song as good as any Daniel Johnston tune, and he has hundreds. Which, yeah, I mean, I could testify with those old cassettes are just a gold mine, and Fun, and even some of the later stuff. There's some good tracks on. So yeah,
Right.
Hundreds of great songs. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
right.
that's quite a tribute. Wow. Yeah. And yeah, true love will find you. I know true love will find you in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Harley Man.
Yeah, Harley.
So why don't we dive into it?
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I'm very familiar with the album, but you kind of, I guess, listened to it for the first time from beginning to end this week, right? I would probably.
Yeah, I think all the way through for the first time. You know what? And I remember seeing the video for Life in Vain, which
Matthew
starring
McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey, and you can't find that. I looked for it.
Oh, it's back though. It disappeared, but then I found it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty good video. Yeah, but that song is great. You know, I mean, I guess since they made a video with Matthew McConaughey, say McConaughey, they must have been picked as a single.
Yeah.
You know, obviously they're putting some money behind that, and at least in the video.
But he wasn't. I don't think Matthew McConaughey was especially famous at that time.
Well, I think he already had done Dazed and Confused, right? So that was pretty big.
Yeah, I guess.
Or maybe not.
You're right.
Maybe not. But he was rising.
You're right.
But yeah,
because
you're
Dazed and
right.
Confused came out when I was in school, so it would have been before '94 that came out.
Yeah.
And he's an Austin guy. I think he still lives in Austin.
Yeah, I think so. So I'm thinking they was maybe pegged as a single.
Yeah.
So it probably stood out, but I think that it holds up. That's a great song.
It's a great song. You know, I'm not crazy about that video because
or I'm not talking about the video. I mean, just the song.
The song. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. We're giving it up so plain, living our lives in vain. And where are we going to? Right. So that's what I'm saying about being 23 years old. What am I supposed to do next? Right.
And a lot of the songs are odes to romance, trying to find a girl, or he's found the girl and, you know, he loves this girl. They're almost like, you know, like old timey rock and roll. Foxy Girl.
Foxy.
I love that girl so much. My Little Girl. But Life in Vain is more of kind of, you know, just existential angst, you know, the big question. Yeah. Why are we here? What are we doing here? What's the line about the TV?
Flip on your TV and try to make sense out of that.
Yeah. Try to make sense out of that.
Try to make sense out of that. If we were all in the movies, maybe we wouldn't be so bored. Right. So I was listening to that, you know, just yesterday to prepare for this, and that line, I don't know, it makes me think of kind of the state of America, how America has to turn everything into entertainment, right? So they had to elect some reality TV boob as the president, So it's kind of like that line, if we were all in the movies, maybe we wouldn't be so bored. Like, let's elect a buffoon as our president and see what happens. It's like just
Right. Yeah. Just that.
injecting entertainment value into everything, like at the cost of everything else.
Right. Right. Well, I like to be entertained, especially when you have Donald Trump in the office and the.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that just giving yourself over to celebrity culture and because shallow glamour,
And that's the thing of him, and it's a lot in his early cassettes too, where he sees things that entertain everybody else, or like everybody else gets meaning from watching TV. He talks a lot about watching TV in earlier stuff. The sun don't shine in your TV, he says. So it's always like this distance from looking at other people and seeing what amuses them and how they go about their business. And he's, commenting on the distance he feels from that. Like, why is like he envies them their happiness in a way, like their contentment.
But there's also when you're talking about watching TV, I spent a lot of time as a kid watching TV. Still watch. Well, now I watch YouTube and watch Netflix. But it takes me to track 5, Happy Time, where all about childhood. He doesn't mention the TV there, I don't think, but he mentions
comic books,
pretend superheroes,
the pretend drawings, the Bibles, the pretend drawings,
Bible stories,
the Bible stories.
His dad's model airplanes.
Yeah. Kool-Aid flowing like wine. That's my favorite. Kool-Aid flowing like wine. That song. I love that song. Because just if you're trying to think of another song like about childhood, I don't know, one that comes to mind is Van Morrison's And It Stoned Me, right? You remember that song? It's something about but it's really
what
the
is that on
paints.
No, it's not an Astral Weeks. It's on Moondance, I guess. Maybe isn't there an album Moondance?
Sounds about right.
And It Stoned Me.
Yeah. It's a great song, right? But the picture he paints there is not my childhood, like going fishing. I think they get in the back of a pickup truck and they go fishing and everything. And it's great, but it sounds like, like an episode of Little Rascals or something. It's like this kind of, Norman, well, I mean, of course, Van Morrison's Irish, but it's almost like a Norman Rockwell, vision of childhood.
Right.
Where I feel more of a connection to Daniel Johnston, Happy Time, right? Just this fragmented, Captain America, Kool-Aid, model air, like just these random images.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Definitely. He kind of maybe a collage method, but random things, patching them together, but unifying theme of childhood there. And definitely. I mean, those cultural references still resonate with them. We're a bit younger than Daniel, but still resonate. Yeah. What stuck out? Well, Circus Man here, I printed out the lyrics.
Yeah, I'm interested that you want to talk about Circus Man. Yeah, what's the
that one? And going off it seems like it kind of this wistful, romantic notion of joining the circus, which you've heard about in song before, I guess, or in other forms of art.
He was a carny, right? At certain points, right?
Oh, was he?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
You know, if I was a circus man, then I'd be a circus man only you could understand. I love that line. Then I'd be a circus man only you could understand. So that, connected, well, married with this idea of the, romantic notion of running off with the circus, I think is the idea of this ideal love, and his muse was, the woman's name was, I wrote that down.
Lori.
Lori. And then I found just tonight, well, you've known this for years, but the album before Fun was titled Lori in tribute to her.
Oh.
That's what it said
On
on the internet.
okay. I mean, that could be some one.
They said previous, they're like Fun came out in 94 and Lori, they said was like 92 or something.
Okay. There's some overlap with like old songs are, released in different things. I didn't know about Lori. The one I had before Fun is, I think it's just called 1990.
Oh, okay.
With Devil Town and Some Things Last a Long Time. Like there's some.
Oh, I love that song. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna check that.
Mm.
But I thought they said on. Wait, is it here? Yeah, here. Well, Wikipedia. I probably put too much stock in Wikipedia. Lazy researcher. But it says Daniel Johnston chronology. You see that? Lori, 1992. Fun, 1994. Frankenstein Love, 1998.
There's a lot of overlap of stuff. I don't have all of his stuff.
Anyway, so I think a big theme throughout this album is that, that notion of searching for, obsessing over this perfect love, this true love, this sweetheart. It's one true love, which I guess was Lori in his mind. So that connects here. Then I'd be a circus man only you could understand. That you were my one true love, and and he's an outsider, but she can understand him. I like only you could understand. I just like that line.
It's
and then there's another great line here. Well, there are a few, but I like to take a walk around the block, see the future of the clock. This kind of, it's almost like off the cuff. Take a walk around the block, see the future of the clock. But I mean, like, go outside and walk around and, see what the future holds, see what happens in the future. It's just an interesting way, kind of funny way to say that. And I like, if I was a circus, at the end, if I was a circus man, only you would understand. And he kind of changes that, only from the previous one, and said only you could understand. If I was a circus man, only you would understand. There's a story to tell. Like she sees his inner worth, validating him as an artist. But then the last line. See your brother burn in hell.
See your brother burn in hell. Yeah.
That threw me.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of that throughout his work, right? Mention of people burning in hell. I mean,
the Bible stories, I guess.
Yeah.
Were his parents really religious?
Yeah. His parents are really religious. They drilled it into his head. It became, I mean, it was, well, remember he was going to sign with Elektra Records, but then he didn't because Metallica was on Elektra Records and he thought Metallica was satanic. So, so that, these beliefs were playing a big role in his career. I mean, in his songwriting and in just his life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's mentioned in the Wikipedia entry. 1993, Johnston gained popularity, was offered a contract under Elektra Records. Although a beneficial agreement for Johnston, he refused, since Metallica, a band Johnston believed to be possessed by Satan, was under the label. And then it said he, now under the impression that his manager was also possessed by Satan, fired him and continued to look elsewhere for a music label. So he signed under Atlantic Records and released Fun in 1994. I think that was all just posturing and what do you call it, negotiating.
Really?
Trump calls himself the great negotiator. He probably got a sweet deal from Atlantic. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I just view it all as
In the back of his mind, he knew, I'm going to get this sweet deal with Atlantic. No, yeah. I mean, those are real. I mean, you talk about, well, we're talking about the devil, but his real demons. I mean, his mental illness and that gripped him. And it says, released Fun in 1994 while housed in a mental institution.
Yeah, I think I knew like some of that too when I got the album. You know, like I knew when my friend gave it to me, I think, you know, Jason, I think he did say something about, there's, you know, this guy has mental issues and all this. But I mean, just very quickly, the level of the music just superseded that for me. You know, like,
sure, yeah.
I was just like, whatever, man, I don't care. You know,
right?
Like, so. Yeah. I mean, I guess it did add a certain fascination to it, but the music was just so great that it blew away the backstory for me kind of instantly. But then the you know, the more you learn about I mean, his whole story is fascinating, you know? So, I mean, if anyone hasn't watched that documentary, right, The Devil and Daniel Johnston, I mean, that's one of the greatest music documentaries ever, I'd say.
I saw that in the movie theater.
Wow.
By 2006, it was released. I need to revisit that.
Sounds about right. You know, I teach an indie rock class at a university, and we were going to watch. We're going to watch it together in class, in the classroom, right? That was on my syllabus to watch Devil and Daniel Johnston. But then the pandemic, and I'm teaching from home, the semester was shortened. So I cut that out. But I hope to be able to show my classes that in the future.
Yeah, that was really well done. And I mean, like you said, there's a big, you know, big backstory there, and it
filled in a lot of the gaps. I always loved that Gibby Haynes, is that his name, from the Butthole Surfer? That he's interviewed in the dentist chair. He's like getting a root canal or something during the interview. I thought it was interesting that that guy Beto O'Rourke, right? He's kind of from that area, right? He's from El Paso or whatever, that politician. But I saw some interview of him, and he was in a dentist chair, and I'm like, he's dead, because he's a big indie rock guy, right? So he
was in a band.
Yes, he definitely did that in tribute to Daniel and Gibby. Wouldn't you think? I mean, why else would you be interviewed in a dentist chair?
Yeah, probably. I didn't see that interview. I mean,
Or did I dream that? Let's maybe everyone should verify that. See if you could find footage of Beto O'Rourke in a dentist chair. Either that or I dreamed it. But Greg, to go back to what you said about Circus Man, and if I was a circus man, then I'd be a circus man. Only you could understand. So I wasn't looking at it the way you were, but the way you're explaining it kind of falls in line with my whole concept of the album, right? That he doesn't know what to do to find normality. Like, he doesn't know what to do to get the girl, right? He has no idea how he should go about doing that. So just the idea, well, maybe I'll join the circus. Maybe that'll impress her.
You know,
like that kind of goes along with that, right?
Yeah.
But even that, even in the process of singing about that, okay, this little fantasy, I'm in the circus, and then it turns into, see your brother burn in hell. So it's almost like he can't even go that long in his fantasies without the demons and Satan, rearing their heads,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, some songs, the demons are away, right? Like Happy Time and, Mike Recorded.
Love Will See You Through.
Yeah, the love song. I mean, just great message there, right?
Yeah. Then Lousy Weekend. Just another lousy weekend. What happens? What makes it? I was listening to it.
I couldn't. Just another lousy weekend. I couldn't find a single friend. Had my heart set on disappointment. Up walks a super JoJo. Ask me how my day go. So something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get the feeling there's no one to hang out with, and
Yeah.
writing songs, right? Like,
yeah.
Because it seems that even though he has these mental issues, it seems that he has a lot of like friendships with people, like in the music scenes there and everything. Like, I mean, like he's not an utter loner like a Jandek or something, right? Like, I mean,
No. And there's, don't they show it in the documentary when he's on MTV in like the early 80s?
Mm-hmm.
They come down to Austin and he's so confident, almost cocksure of his talent. And he's so enthused, like, oh yeah, I'm Daniel Johnston, gonna be real famous. And and then he lands this this time on this live MTV show, and he's just brimming with enthusiasm. Oh, and that video, what's the video on YouTube?
And Greg, before you get it, it's just so great that you're talking about it, because when they are talking about that in the documentary, they show this picture. I have this queued up because I love this picture. Right? Where they're saying like he was so confident at that point, he felt he could, right? And that's him in his McDonald's uniform, just like, yeah, this is just one of my favorite pictures of him.
Like, I remember we talked a bit about and Wayne Coyne from the Flaming Lips used to work at Long John Silver's.
Yeah.
He mentioned that a few times, like, and like, he always felt like that was his, or didn't I think you mentioned like he kind of felt like that was his plan B, like, oh, the band doesn't work, like I got a steady thing going at Long John Silver's, so things will work out.
Yeah. And at one point he said he wouldn't mind going back to Long John Silver's. I'm like, that's bullshit. Like, come on.
Yeah. Is he still in Oklahoma City? He's a pretty down to earth guy, but
yeah. But he said that in it, and yeah, he is down to earth. But I mean, that's like a bit of an exaggeration.
Yeah. Now I don't want to get too caught up on his mental state and the troubles with that and the tragedy of that, but they do mention in the documentary that there was that he took acid at a party, that there was a real bummer of an acid trip, a catastrophic or traumatic LSD trip. And I wonder, and they talk about that, with Syd Barrett from the Pink Floyd of, well, he took multiple, but that they felt that there was, some people believe that was a factor in his, I don't know, mental breakdown or a turn in his mental state. And I wonder, and two, and what I've read, like, have you read Michael Pollan? He wrote the Omnivores Dilemma. But he wrote a big book on the resurgence of psychedelic drugs as therapeutic medicine, psychiatrists, doctors using them to treat people, with, especially people who have terminal illness and who may have chronic depression and things which people in the 60s were thinking about before it got a lot of bad press. And, and Timothy Leary got kind of reckless with it, and the whole drug culture. But anyways, so he mentioned in this book I read last year, he was saying, despite the hype LSD has, can be quite benign, has therapeutic qualities, and the negative aspects are greatly exaggerated. The urban legends of people taking it and losing their minds, and people jumping out of windows. But he did caution. He's like, well, if people have a certain personality and may have a tendency to, or a possibility that they're in the range of being schizophrenic or being susceptible to schizophrenia, that they probably shouldn't take it. So anyways, here's my point. I wonder if there's any truth to like that. He had a traumatic acid trip, which really brought his mental health to a very dangerous point.
Yeah.
And
it's probably one of just so many factors,
Right. Yeah. And they were asking Gibby when he was in the chair, like, yeah, like, did he give him the acid? He's like, did I give him the acid? No.
Everyone wants to blame Gibby. But speaking of the Butthole Surfers, you got to just applaud the work that Paul Leary did on Fun, right? I mean, he was producer of the album, played on a lot of songs. Especially, when you hear that, maybe Daniel was in a bit of, he wasn't in top form at the time, kind of from stress. Like maybe for him, moving to a major label was not, the best thing for him personally, right? But so maybe the stress of that. But I think Paul Leary, I think they put out a great album, right? So it bothers me that it's, considered like this just big flop. Like, I don't know if we've mentioned the number yet, but according to Wikipedia, this is a release on Atlantic Records, and it only sold 5,800 copies, right? And
that's what,
and the idea, like people treat it like it's this huge failure, but I blame that on Atlantic Records. Like, how could you guys not have figured out how to sell this album, right? So you mentioned that the video for Love in Vain, or Life in Vain.
Life in
Vain. I think it's just this, you got Matthew McConaughey, like, let's do something with him, right? It's like this black and white video, and like McConaughey's like just digging a hole. Like, I don't know, like, I think you could have taken something like the opening track, Love Wheel, right? And get the people who made the videos for, Love Shack, or, like REM Stand, or like, I don't think it was a good move to just kind of make this really dark black and white video of a guy digging a hole, and there's later videos that use Daniel's artwork, like Space Ducks. You ever seen that?
I think I have, or I've seen clips of it.
Yeah. Like, geez, that time, man, mid 90s. There was, interest in, the fact that the Butthole Surfers were a household name at the time,
right. Yeah.
The interest in the underground becoming overground was huge. Atlantic has this, great songwriter, a batch of, all new material. He wasn't just rehashing his greatest hits. It's all fresh material,
right.
Great producer. I think it was put together awesomely, I really think this album sounds great. And the fact that they couldn't sell more than 6,000 copies of it, like shame on Atlantic Records. That's what I think, you know?
Yeah, I mean, must have been difficult. I mean, he would, right. It seems they definitely could have done a better job, but also too, I mean, Daniel must have been a difficult, I mean, a guy to, how do you manage a guy like that and promote him, you know, I mean, with his mental instability and,
you know,
but yeah, I mean, yeah.
You know what I didn't think about, Greg, until today, just thinking about this. So Kurt Cobain died the spring of '94, right? So it would have been just a few months before this album was released. Like, how would things have been different if Kurt Cobain lived and this album came out and he loved it, and Kurt Cobain, you know, just went out to all the magazines and interviews and was saying this,
right?
This is the shit, you know, like that could have changed everything. But I mean, you know, I guess I don't especially need Daniel Johnston to be, you know, the biggest star in the world, but I think people should appreciate this album.
Yeah, I agree. And well, you mentioned when I read, you mentioned it only sold 5,800 copies, and it made me think of, you know, that famous line from Brian Eno about the Velvet Underground and Nico record. The album initially sold approximately only 30,000 copies. But then Eno said, everyone who bought one of those 30,000 copies started a band. So Dave, what Fun only sold 5,800 copies, but everyone who bought that album started a vlog.
Yeah. And their first episode of everyone's vlog was about Fun. But I remember just when I would play the album, everybody loved it, you know, like just when I would take it to, you know, Jason lent it to me, but then I remember, you know, taking it to another group of friends and just saying, you know, check this out. And everybody instantly loved it, you know, like it was you know, it was a gold. I didn't want to say gold mine because it clearly wasn't, but so it could, you know, I just think, you know, I think we should try to get Paul Leary on, Greg, at some point.
Yeah.
To talk about this.
And it is, you know, like you said, I mean, he did a really good job with the production, and he's heavily involved in playing on the album. And it's commendable too. This is pretty far stylistically from the Butthole Surfers content and music wise, you know. So, you know, he's obviously wasn't pigeonholed in one type of music, or, you know. So yeah, I would I don't have his number. He's probably got a Twitter account. You could send him a message. Yeah, and you're right. I keep thinking about, you know, like you said, well, Atlantic Records. I mean, I don't know what they could have done for promotion. I have no idea how to do that. They did, but it says, you know, he was dropped from Atlantic Records 2 years later. I mean, yeah, I mean, you'd think well, record labels are just notorious for, you know, looking for a quick cash grab and, you know, putting, you know, financial interests and quick profits over long-term support for an artist, and, you know, taking the big view and, you know, for themselves financially, but, you know, for supporting an artist long-term. So, you know, cultivating a career for them.
I'm sure.
And this would be an example of that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, but
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of backstory of him being uncooperative too. So
yeah.
But the album was already made. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't, you know, like, I think even without him having to perform or do interviews or anything, they should have been able to sell this album, you know?
Yeah.
Greg, have you ever heard about how Kim Fowley approached Daniel Johnston? Remember, Kim Fowley?
Oh, from, well, the Runaways and,
Yeah. The manager of the Runaways. So I think it was when, there was just a buzz in Austin and Daniel was still working at McDonald's, right? But like pumping out music. And I don't have the quote handy, but so Kim Fowley wanted to be his manager, right? And I don't know, maybe Daniel didn't trust him or whatever, but whatever, the situation fell apart. And Kim Fowley has some quote like he's gonna be working at McDonald's and singing his songs in the gutter for the rest of his life or something. Like
the more I remember when we were in Japan and there was an article in Mojo about the Runaways. And there's a big picture of him, because he was the manager that kind of like Malcolm McLaren, the mastermind behind this
an
band.
American
But
Malcolm McLaren. Yeah.
I remember reading that article, like him, like one of the girls saying, I don't know, him taking advantage of, I don't know if it was, I can't remember the context. It was a girl in the band, like probably teenage girl or pretty young teenage girl in the band or associate of the band, the guy was a sexual predator. And then it came out like 2 years ago or last year, the bassist from the Runaways claims that he raped her while she was on Quaaludes at a party. Right. And so.
Yeah, I mean, no, he's not a good guy.
Yeah. But Daniel Johnston probably read him correctly.
Yeah.
And he did, So, but he probably understood that, he was going to be, who knows if that was sour grapes on his part? Well, probably both. Like, this guy doesn't want to work with me.
Yeah.
He must have saw his talent, but he also probably understood he needed some special management.
That, but just that idea of him singing his songs in the gutter. So there's this, because of course all his old classic tapes, the quality is very low, right? He recorded them in his bedroom or on a boom box, and so there's this feeling that, and I think it's in line with the fact that Fun wasn't a hit. That okay, if you just get the right producer, Daniel will be a gold mine, right? And like my issue with that is I think Paul Leary just did an amazing job. Like I don't like that historically Paul Leary's, it's considered that, that failed. Like, you took this great talent and you couldn't capture it, right? And then a couple of years later, there was the Rejected Unknown album, which had some decent songs on. But then 2 years later, or the next album after that was called Fear Yourself. And it was produced by the guy from Sparkle Horse. Is it Mark Linkhouse? Linkhouse?
I believe it's Mark Linkhouse.
Linkhouse.
Can I hear?
But see,
it's our first episode, so I'm sorry I don't have. But yeah, it's Linkhouse, Link.
Yeah, I mean, I always recognize his name. I just don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah, and Sparkle Horse is a good band, and this guy's done a lot of good work. But the first track on Fear Yourself, I kind of resent a little bit because it begins like the first 2 minutes of it. It almost sounds like old school Daniel Johnston. It sounds like very tinny.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it sounds like he's singing in like a tin shed, behind McDonald's or something. It sounds very tinny. And then in like mid song, it turns into like this really kind of high level production, like up there with like Flaming Lips type production, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like it was kind of Mark Linkhouse kind of saying, making a statement like, okay, no, this is how we got to produce the guy, and I almost, because I'm such a fan of Fun, I almost take it as a slight against Paul Leary or something. You know,
Yeah.
that Lynn House makes his presence as the producer so in your face, you know, that it offends me.
Yeah. We got to get, geez, I was just about to say, we got to get Linghouse on. But he passed away. He committed suicide.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Wow. But
Well,
I
we
might
can
be reading that
reach out
totally
for-
wrong, you know, like maybe that the whole thing
I got to
was
listen
Daniel's
to it.
idea.
I got to listen
Yeah.
to it.
Like maybe that track was Daniel's idea. I don't know. But I mean, to me, it feeds into that idea that, oh, you know, the problem was we just never got him in the right studio with the right producer, you know, which I just totally reject. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the production, I think his production, yeah, it works. It's certainly not over the top. And the songs are, you know, center stage. You know, what's interesting though, rock and roll.
Oh, see, I wanted to ask you about that song. Yeah. The album Closer, right? That's a great anthem. What do you think?
Let me see, it's 11, quarter after 11 here. Maybe we'll run into copyright issues, but let me.
You're gonna play it. We'll see if YouTube flags us. But so it's called Rock and Roll EGA, right? EGA is just the chords.
Right, but that's what I was thinking. Right.
Yeah, great lyrics to that song. So while you're all right, you're gonna play the track, right? I mean, great lyrics to that song. You walk around, but you got to have a reason, something worth getting up in the morning for. My heart looked to art, and I found the Beatles. Oh God, I wasn't a true disciple. I mean, that's awesome. Are you playing it on your computer, Greg?
No, I'm just playing on the stereo here.
All right. Well, why don't we'll just include it in the link? We'll include it in the link below. But but please, tell me what you think of that song.
Because it kind of, you know, starts off as a guitar, acoustic bass.
Greg,
like Kiss, like it's, you know, oh, that rock and roll.
Yeah, it saved my soul. Yeah. And then it kind of even kicks into a higher gear at the end, right? It's kind of
I can't remember.
Yeah, no, it kicks into a higher gear than that at the end. Yeah, I think that's an amazing song, and it's just a great close to the album. So I mean, I love Love Wheel and then Rock and Roll EGA are just great kind of bookends to the album. I like the beginning of Love Wheel, just the kind of just explosion of his voice and the music, like just like kind of on the same beat, you know, walk into a crowded room, see you there and I'm hypnotized. So immediately you're just in his universe. I mean, as soon as there's no mucking around, you know?
Yeah.
And so I feel like it kind of starts on like kind of a high poppy point and kind of ends on a high poppy point. And then like in the middle, he takes you all over the place, right?
Yeah. And it's he just got the Beatles. And it's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
I mean, what about I'm going to pause it. Sad Sack and Tarzan.
Yeah.
Aren't they reoccurring characters, motifs?
I don't,
because
somehow
Casper,
I don't think so. But there's a lot of motifs in his music. But
Casper,
yeah,
Captain
Casper's
America
is on the cover of the album, huh? But he doesn't.
Right? Yeah.
Does he?
And
he doesn't mention Casper in.
Now, the first Daniel Johnston song I heard was it Casper the Friendly Ghost from Kids?
From Kids, yeah.
And wasn't the character's name Casper in the movie?
Yeah.
So it did. And what's his name? What's the the writer's name, Harmony Korine.
Yeah.
Do you think he named the character Casper after,
Maybe.
because he wanted to use, or he liked the Daniel Johnston song
Maybe. Yeah,
or-
I mean, yeah, I don't think that was an accident, right?
yeah, yeah.
And the song had been written. That's like a reboot of that song.
It's from one of the cassettes, right?
Yeah. So yeah, my guess is he named the character after the song.
Yeah, but so you've got Casper. That's Casper there, right? But
A
on the
version
cover.
of Casper, right?
muscle bound Casper. How about the witch?
Not sure. I'm not sure if she. Yeah, I wonder why he used this particular. You don't often see a strong connection with like the cover art of something and the material on the album. No, not especially, or at least not an obvious one. But the more you listen to his music, like if you actually listen to those 12 cassettes, there's a lot of like kind of motifs and characters that just overlap and intermingle with each other. Oh, okay. I think it is in Sad Sack and Tarzan where he says something about he saw the dog. I saw the dog hanging from the swing set. I asked the girl, "Where's your doggy at?" Oh no, that's from, but it's on Fun. I think it's on the Caddy, whatever. But that comes up in his earlier stuff. He saw a dead dog at one point, like on a playground next to a swing set. And I think, yeah, it was like a traumatic thing. Like I think even like the leash was hanging from the. It looked like he saw like a disturbing scene of a dead dog, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that'll just come up in his songs sometimes. Yeah, it does. It comes up on Fun, right?
And you think track 4, Caddy.
Maybe. Wait,
Yeah.
I walked on down to see my grandpa. Yeah, it's yeah, that's a Katie. Caddy spells it like Katie, but
Yeah.
so that's like a blues, right? It begins as a blues standard, right? Like the Blues Brothers even sing that, I think. She caught the Katie.
Yeah.
He caught the caddy, I guess it's called Catie. But then it morphs into his own thing.
Are they, when they say Caddy? So, and yeah, I think it goes much further back than the Blues Brothers. When they say Caddy,
yeah.
Are they talking like short for Cadillac or?
I don't know. Left me the mule to. Yeah, it must be, right? Because the girl takes the Cadillac, the guy's left with the mule.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's like a blues standard, right? Like a lot of people have done that.
I think so, yeah.
So yeah, I think that's when he mentions the dead dog, right? And well, Greg, what do you think about some of the stuff that's kind of, I would say, Beefheartian, right? Where it just feels like
I heard it. I was just listening. He does mention the dog. Yeah, I saw the dog hanging from the swing set.
Hanging from the swing set, right?
Yeah.
I asked the girl, "Where's your doggy at?" I mean, it's pretty disturbing when you know the backstory, right? But what do you think of like My Little Girl and like some of that stuff that's really unstructured that it'll be like in between like two like pretty love songs. There'll be like, I mean, I would call it Beefheartian kind of just almost soundscapes with a bunch of images thrown around. What do you think of those tracks?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm listening to it now.
Which one?
My Little Girl.
Yeah. I mean, that's see what I think is cool about this is it's kind of hard to get your head around that song, but it's so short in a way that, and I found myself listening to the album so often that I mean I basically have the whole song committed to memory. So even though it's like a totally unpredictable like onslaught of things, because I've listened to it so much, I could like find comfort in that song.
Yeah.
You know, where and it does it.
Oh, we got no what it, but it does. You know, I think it ties in with, and I think there's a theme of childhood. Well, that's clearly in Happy Time. And we talked about television before, but I kind of, and television factored in my childhood, so I kind of, then I guess projected that idea on Daniel, like him as a kid, you know, watching TV in the, I guess would be in the 60s, you know, and so that song, My Little Girl, when he's like, whoa, stop this crazy machine.
Yeah.
That's,
Margaret.
That's, I mean, he must have been thinking about the Jetsons, right?
Oh.
That's
that,
from the
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wait, who? Okay, what happens on the Jetsons that stop this crazy?
George Jetson, yeah, I think it's the dog walker. It's in at the end of the theme, the dog walker, it speeds up and is going wild. And so he yells to his wife to stop the machine.
But is her name Margaret? No, what's George Jetson's wife's name? Is Judy was the daughter.
Jane.
Okay, because in the song he says, Margaret,
But
stop the crazy,
stop this crazy. That's exactly what I thought of though. Yeah. Like,
that's good. That's a good connection. So he was born in 61, right? Like in his song, because, you know, in his song, you know, going back to Yip Jump Music, the first line, you know, his song, The Beatles, when I was born in 61, they already had a hit, right?
Yeah, okay.
I was born in 61. Did the Beatles have a hit in 61? I thought it was 62. But
maybe in the UK, I'm not sure. I'm sure there are many music fans who know the answer to that question. I don't.
But then after the Margaret stopped the crazy machine, then he just goes, Doctor Retina. That makes no sense at all, right? But it sounds great.
Retina? Like Retina. As in your eye?
I think that's what he says. Doctor Retina. So, but that's, I mean, there's a lot of just great humor throughout. I mean, I don't know if that's exactly a joke, but it's hilarious, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like he is just riffing a lot of the time, you know? And, you know, very effectively, right?
Yeah.
And his cassettes, his early cassettes, a lot of just, you know, crazy off the cuff stuff. So Greg, I think it was interesting when I first heard his cassettes, you know, when I would have bought them after becoming a fan of Fun. So let's say 96 or 97 or so, when I got my hands on the cassettes, I remember being really disturbed at the scenes in between songs where it's just his mother yelling at him, right?
Oh, you've mentioned this.
Yeah, and it's like happens fairly often in those cassettes. It'll just be in between a song, his mother will just be screaming at him for you know, wearing ripped jeans to church and stuff like this. But I mean, you could feel the tension and the stress of the situation, right? And when I first heard those in the 90s, it seemed I felt like it was too much information, like it was too intimate. Like you question, like should he have released this, you know? But then when I went back to listen to him after like a long gap, I hadn't listened to those albums for years, and went back and heard them again, I didn't feel offended at all. Like I felt like I had a right to hear those. And I just wonder if it says something about you know, the internet and social media and everything. You feel like you have a right to know everybody's business, right? And you know, like reality TV, which I never really watched because I was here in Japan. But I mean, you know, like within the last 20 years, it's just become, you feel you have more of a right to know people's personal business, right? So when I listen to those albums now, his mom screaming at him does not offend me. I mean, maybe it's just because I expect it, but I just wonder if my viewpoint has gradually changed in the 20 years, 25 years.
Hmm.
Does that make sense, or am I
Yeah.
overanalyzing something?
No. Yeah, that could make sense. Yeah, it could be reaction to I guess our culture now, and you know, the feeling we've, I guess we've got to show everything, or and others have a right to see everything. We need to be fully transparent, I guess, and or just like, uh, but then again, it could be too, maybe because his stature as an artist has been has gone up, I guess, at least in the mainstream media, and just the acclaim, and I mean, you were always on board. You were always a fan, and always had respect for his talent and as a songwriter. But I mean, obviously, the acclaim, the accolades have grown. The documentary, so there, just so his acclaim, his status as an artist has risen. So when you get to that level, it's almost like, okay, we got to know more about this person. We need to know his biography. It's like, maybe it's more like that. You don't question, I guess, art professors who write biographies on Van Gogh, and analyze the letters between him and his brother, and now he's become a historic figure. So historic figure people, it's kind of accepted that we want to know all facets of their life, to see what made them tick.
Yeah,
and I guess sense. and this and I think too, with in this case with his the mental illness, like, I think that can show some insight there, some of the dysfunction in the household that exacerbated that, contributed to that. I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know.
Like, it made, because I was in Japan at the time, maybe even you were too. I don't know when exactly the huge reality TV boom is. Like, I never watched Survivor or anything like that. But
yeah, I know.
I did catch a few episodes of the Osbournes, right? I mean, I think Ozzy's entertaining. I mean, and just the fact you see Ozzy and his wife and his kids and blah, blah, blah. Like, just the fact that became normal, like, okay, so like years later when listening for the second time, Daniel's mother screaming at him, it doesn't, it doesn't feel as much as an invasion.
Yeah.
Or maybe both things are at play. But
what was his? I remember you mentioning that, and like her referring to him as a laughing stock.
Yeah.
Do you think he was?
I mean, see,
what was his reaction? Do you think he was taping her on purpose, deliberately, to like, oh my God, like almost in a defense, like,
yeah,
you're yelling at me, but I don't really care, and I'm taping my mom, and then people listen to how, listen to my mom flip her wig and lose her shit, but she's the one who's out of line. I'm not out of line,
Yeah.
Or do you think it was just? I mean, obviously,
she says something to him like, "You think it's okay to draw eyeballs on everything and become a laughing stock?" And
she had no idea those, how much those eyeballs would be worth.
Yeah. What I think,
I
Greg, is
wonder if he was like laughing because he did seem so, like that picture you showed in his McDonald's costume uniform. But he seemed, incredibly confident at times when he's throughout his career, but especially when he was younger. So I wonder if as he's taping, he's like kind of cracking up at his mom, like, she's flipping her wig, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my thing.
See, but then we should say there are times also in between songs where he's having nice conversations with his mother, right?
Yeah.
Like she's even requesting songs she wants to play. Yeah.
We shouldn't demonize his mom.
Throw old lady Johnston under the bus. Yeah.
Never met the family.
Yeah. And she's in the documentary too, like just talking about, oh yeah, he would record me when I was having a go at him and stuff like that. But what I want to say and answer your question, like why he would do that, I think he just so sincerely believes that you should show the truth, that he just recorded it and then he's like, well, it would be dishonest to erase this. I have to include it.
Yeah.
Like he was probably trying to record something in his bedroom. She broke it and started yelling at him. It was on the tape, and then he just felt it would be dishonest to erase it. Who knows? I mean, that's
sure. Yeah, no, I think it's an interesting take, and that's certainly, I think, an admirable attitude to have. Not that you always want to follow that, but yeah, I respect that notion. What's the term cinema verite? Is it, like really hyper realistic documenting or film? But did that bring us reality TV? But what it's making me think of? I mean, now I'm going off on a tangent, and I was going to say save it for a later episode. I don't know if Oasis is ever going to make one of these vlogs, despite what they think of themselves. But I watched that Oasis documentary. I've watched it a few times, a bit of a guilty pleasure. But in the documentary, the older guy, Noel Gallagher, is so that the movie ends with them playing Nepworth, which is a big festival in England.
I thought you were talking about like a board game or something. It ends with them playing Monopoly. Okay.
Ends with them playing Trivial Pursuit, and they get into a fist fight.
Yeah.
The English version of Trivial Pursuit. Liam puts Noel in a headlock. No, the documentary ends with them playing this big festival in England after, what's the story? Morning Glory comes out. They're riding out. They're the biggest band in England, and they're saying it's like the new Beatles. And they play for 2 days, or thousands of people, maybe, in this big field, and Noel Gallagher is kind of saying like it happened. This was like he's saying this was a real innocent moment and a high watermark for the band, but also he kind of extends like in culture in general, at least in England at the time, because he's like it was pre-internet. Our rise to fame was kind of like a grassroots movement. Word of mouth through the fans. He doesn't say that exactly, but that's what he said, pre-internet. And, it was before, he said it was before like celebrity culture kind of took over. And I think he alludes to like reality shows. And when he was saying that, I was just thinking like, what are you talking about? Like, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, they were, they were certainly celebrities, and you certainly have modeled yourself on their look and the time's attitude and fashion. And not that they don't have great songs, but I just that was yeah, I just think, yeah, I think his take on it, I don't know, as we're talking about celebrity culture, he made me, you know, and reality TV, made me think of that. I mean, I think celebrity culture's been around for, obviously, you know, years. And
So, did you say
I
it was
don't know, that
Noel,
was
or
a
was it
tangent.
Noel or Liam saying that?
Noel is saying that. It was usually, you know,
So kind
he's
of,
a little more thoughtful, a little more
yeah.
well, they're definitely both quotable, but he says, you know, number of stupid things.
Well, Greg, we should probably not go too far, but I wanted to bounce a little pet theory I have off you. Because, and maybe it ties into why Fun never got the reviews it deserves, right? So I have this idea that, and because even his later album, I think critics are very hard on Daniel, I think, right? So I don't know how they responded to the cassettes, because I don't know if those, but anyway, the fact that Fun was ignored, I kind of feel that like music critics kind of resent him because he went around them in a way. You know, the fact that, you know, you already got Thurston Moore, you know, Kurt Cobain, David Bowie apparently was, I mean, just like big profile supporters of Daniel Johnston, right? You know, before, I mean, I think the music, you know, like I think, all right, let's say Pitchfork, for example. I mean, a big reason why Arcade Fire got so huge is because Pitchfork really raved about their album, right? I mean, Arcade Fire is a big band anyways, but I'm
Right.
sure the Pitchfork people took some kind of pride into like, we made this band.
Right, yeah.
You know, in a way. And Daniel just did not go that route because his, you know, people just arrived at his music from all different entry points. And it was almost like organically, he became this, you know, artist that like everyone respected without the critics playing a role in it, right? So it's almost like they kind of resented that, and they weren't gonna give a 5-star review of Fun. Do you? I mean, am I overthinking things?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea. You'd have to. Yeah, and you'd have to see what the reviews were at the time and who wrote the reviews. Well, when did I was thinking about today. I thought the first time I read about Daniel Johnston was in like Rolling Stone or Spin. Must have been around the time of the kids movie. But I don't know. That's an interesting idea. Yeah. I mean, they definitely, yeah, especially established, you know, one of the past were magazines, you know, websites, whatever, music media and established critics definitely have an influence on what people buy and what becomes popular. Or
like they want to be star makers, right? They want to be star makers, right?
Yeah, or at least taste makers, I guess. But yeah, so, I mean, I guess sure some. Yeah, that's interesting. We'd have to look at some of the reviews or.
But you know, I mean, really, now that it's all said and done, you know, I mean, Daniel's passed away and everything. I mean, his legacy is certainly intact. So there's no, you know, I mean, there's no reason for me to feel bitter. all I'm asking for people is to give Fun more of a chance, right? Like it's not a throwaway late career album. I think it's a great album and it's a great gateway into his universe. That's what I'd say. Yeah, and if you live in Buffalo, right, you can after Greg returns this to the library, you can. It is on Spotify too. Fun's on Spotify.
Who was now when you real quick? Before we sign off, don't know who's going to want to listen to all this.
Yeah.
But you said when you bought the cassettes, they came with a handwritten note.
Yeah. From that guy Jeff, who I think
He's in the documentary, right?
Yeah. Was he the producer of the doc, director of the doc? I think he's the director of the doc. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not.
He's the guy who he compares, isn't he? He became like his manager or
Yeah.
like the,
Yeah.
and he compares Daniel to Vincent Van Gogh.
Daniel Johnston. He compares him to Van Gogh.
I think, yeah.
Hmm.
And I think they,
Yeah, that's him, Greg. His name is, I'm sure I'm going to butcher this, but Jeff Fierzig. Yeah,
he's the guy that sent you
guy
the,
he sent me a handwritten note when I ordered those cassettes.
yeah.
I think I lost. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Do you have the note?
I'm not sure where the note is. Did I show it to you at some point?
No, you
No.
just mentioned it. You mentioned
Okay. I don't know where it is.
it. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So everybody should go listen to Fun.
Have fun.
Have fun.
Oh, Greg, what was the sign off? I was trying to come up with a sign off last night, and the last one I sent to you I thought was kind of all right. So, wait, but I don't want to botch it, so I want to look it up.
You know.
Okay. Should I sign off, Greg? Are we finished?
Yeah.
To
That'll do it, everybody.
Okay. Here it is. Can I say the sign? We could change in the future if you don't like it, but for episode 1, the sign off. All right. Until next time, read books, eat vegetables, look people in the eye when you're talking to them, and blow your speakers.
All right.
It's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
All right.
If I went, so then we can you can probably edit this part because if I went off
Why
on a
don't I
tangent-
stop, Greg? How about I'll stop recording? I'll stop recording, then we.
Oh,
can
okay,
talk.
yeah.